President Duterte orders his peace negotiators to stop talking peace with the communist-led National Democratic Front. Government forces are set to launch an offensive against communist rebels. The Supreme Court junks the consolidated mandamus petitions urging the Senate and lower house to convene in joint session and review President Duterte's declaration of martial law and suspension of the writ of habeas corpus in Mindanao. One person is killed and several others injured in a 19-vehicle pileup along C5 Road in Pasig City. President Rodrigo Duterte has closed the door for the resumption of talks with communist rebels and ordered state forces to gear up for a possible all-out war with the communist rebels. The president cited the spate of deadly attacks by the NPA on government forces, particularly on the Presidential Security Group in Arakan, North Cotabato, as evidence of the communist rebels' hypocrisy. He said he is now willing to continue the war against the communist rebels for another 50 years and reciprocate their ruthlessness in a like manner. More of this report from Rocky Ignacio.
President Rodrigo Duterte directed his peace negotiators to stop talking peace with the CPP, NPA, and NDF.
I'd like to announce first that itong left, sila na yung paliko-liko yung policy, sila pa yung may kaluluwa magsabi sa akin na ako raw bully. Bakit totoo naman? I said I am a bully to the enemies of the state. So if you don't want me to talk to me, I do not want to talk to you, and I do not want you. So ayaw ninyong makipag-usap, mas lalo na ako.
In a press conference after his second State of the Nation address or SONA, the president expressed dismay and questioned the sincerity of the communist leadership to end insurgency in the country. The chief executive cited the alleged threat on his life following the encounter between the presidential security group personnel with the New People's Army in North Cotabato.
Sabi ko, ninyo, pati ako gusto ninyong kausapin tapos patayin. Ang loko-loko mula kayo eh. Gusto niya akong patayin, sige. Sinong may granada niya? Paputokin mo na. Takot rin pala, kaya madamay man sila. So no more talks.
This prompted the president to direct the AFP and the PNP to be on a defensive mode against the attacks by the communist rebels.
So this time, you do it to me, do it to my police and my army, they will do it to you. Kanya-kanya na tayo ng diskarte.
The president stood firm that if this become an issue on human rights, the government is ready to face the Commission on Human Rights.
I will not allow my men to go there to be investigated. Remember this. Human Rights Commission, you address your request through me because the armed forces is under me and the police is under me. Kaya pag question ninyo sila for investigation, padaan mo na sa akin. And for the ombudsman to refrain from citing them in contempt or what? Because I have the authority to give the final say whether they will attend or not. Takot-takutin na ng ano. So huwag ninyo akong pilitin na pati kayo pabanggain ko.
During his second SONA, the president revealed the demanding posture of the communist group, saying they set too many conditions. The communist leadership is not in favor in extending martial law in Mindanao. They feared that the president may impose martial law nationwide.
No nationwide martial law.
Until
because
December.
why? I will look stupid before the eyes of the public if I do that. And I am not ready to be called stupid.
Peace and order is part of his second SONA. Netizens have commented on his speech. Some are in favor, but some are not. But the issue on the alleged use of funds for social media or the alleged online troll to favor him, the president said he doesn't need to become popular since he is not a re-electionist.
I do not need to defend myself from attacks. I've stated my piece during my inauguration and during the campaign. I am not anymore eligible for re-election. I really don't care if my ratings go up or down. That is not a significance to me. I cannot run anymore. I will just do what is best for my country. And I do not hunger for ratings. I do not even look at it. And I do not comment on it.
Based on the latest surveys, the president had maintained a high trust and satisfaction ratings a year after he assumed office. Rocky Ignacio for The Nation.
Meanwhile, soldiers fighting Maute terrorists in Marawi will be redeployed in NPA-infested areas once the conflict in war-torn city is over. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana announced this in the wake of President Rodrigo Duterte's decision to end peace talks with the communist rebels. Eunice Samonte reports that an intensified AFP offensive against the rebels can be expected.
Hindi naman tumitigil yung NPA noon. They have not stop doing their attacks. They have not stopped extorting money from the countryside. They have not stopped recruiting people to join the ranks and to fight the government.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines is set to launch a large-scale offensives against the Reds, particularly the New People's Army or NPA. This follows after President Rodrigo Duterte's pronouncement in his Sana that he is ending his talks with the communist leadership following a series of attacks on police and military personnel by the NPA in spite of the government's peace initiatives. According to National Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana, while the AFP is committed to pursue peace, the NPA is continuously attacking the government forces on the ground. That's why after the crisis in Marawi, some of the soldiers will be back to their original assignments.
It's just a natural consequence. Kasi nga, medyo na ano tayo eh. We removed some of the battalions from the NPA-affected areas, brought them to Marawi. In fact, we brought them also to Holo to address the Abu Sayyaf. Kaya medyo na ano natin yun, napabayaan natin. And we are going to bring them back once Marawi is finished.
It can be recalled that during the first year of President Duterte, peace talks have been on and off because of the ceasefire violations of the Reds. Meanwhile, for the first time in the Sana history, the president confronted the protesters outside asking for resumption of peace talks.
Mag-usap tayo uli. Di sabihin mo sa kanila, mag-usap tayo uli. Okay lang. Yung martial law, may tatapusin lang ako para sa lahat.
But when the defense secretary was asked about his stand in the peace talks,
That will be the decision of the president.
Eunice Samonte for The Nation.
The Supreme Court junked the consolidated mandamus petitions urging the Senate and lower house to convene in joint sessions and review President Duterte's proclamation 216 declaring martial law and suspending the writ of habeas corpus in Mindanao. The High Court's magistrates, led by Justice Teresita de Castro, pointed out that there was no abuse in authority when Congress decided to earlier forgo the joint session, as President Rodrigo Duterte announced the imposition of martial law in Mindanao. The Supreme Court also added that the petitions presented are considered moot and academic.
On the reasoning that Article 7, Section 18 imposes no such duty on Congress to convene, where such duty to convene and vote is limited to instances where Congress intends to revoke or extend any proclamation of martial law or suspension of the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus.
Families of 101 soldiers and policemen killed in fighting Maute terrorists in Marawi City are assured of financial assistance. President Rodrigo Duterte personally met with them during a ceremonial turnover of financial aid in Malacanang tonight. The president expressed his condolences to them, assuring that the nation will forever be grateful for their heroism. More of this report from Rocky Ignacio.
Although there is no amount to replace precious lives, President Rodrigo Duterte recognized the gallantry and bravery of fallen soldiers who fought to regain Marawi City against the Maute group. Under salamat sa magigiting na mandirigma, the president met the bereaved families in Malacanang and gave them monetary assistance through Go Negosyo Kapatid program.
Grateful for their heroism. I would like to commend our partners from the private sector for their participation in the rehabilitation of the city of Marawi. Your humanitarian activities are continuous sources of hope for the thousands of displaced families in the region. Thank you for extending the much-needed support for the bereaved families.
The president admitted that he is more in pain that many of his soldiers were killed during the operations in Marawi City. President Duterte already ordered his finance manager to generate 50 billion pesos trust fund for education and other benefits for the families of soldiers.
I need 50 billion na maiwan ko sa inyo para lang ito sa mga anak ninyo. Edukasyon, wala nang iba. Pagkain, nandiyan na yan. But to make sure na yung mga anak ninyo makapag-aral.
The president also assured that he will continue supporting government troops to restore peace and order. He is confident that Marawi siege will end soon. The commander-in-chief expressed his intention to meet and visit again soldiers in Marawi City soon.
Rest assured that the government is behind you as you continue this noble fight. Together, we will work assiduously to bequeath a peaceful and prosperous Philippines.
Rocky Ignacio for The Nation.
Shortly after President Rodrigo Duterte acknowledged China's assistance in various infrastructure projects to the Philippine government in a second State of the Nation speech, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi met with his Philippine counterpart, Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano. They both affirmed China's commitment in partnering with the country, primarily in rebuilding Marawi and entering a joint oil exploration in the West Philippine Sea. Sweden Velado has this report.
20 million peso worth of construction materials will be given by China for the rehabilitation of Marawi City. This was stated by Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, who's in the Philippines for his official visit.
紧急物资援助用于马拉维民众的安置和战后的重建。相信在杜特尔总统领导之下，马拉维战士不日将取得完全的胜利，连兰老岛的人民将迎来幸福安宁的生活。
He stressed China is ready to be our partner to help rebuild Marawi. The foreign minister added China supports our country's fight against illegal drugs. Before 2017 ends, construction of 2 drug rehabilitation centers will begin. More equipment will also be provided.
第一，坚定地支持菲律宾奉行独立自主的外交政策，探索符合自身国情的发展道路。
On the issue of territorial dispute in West Philippine Sea, Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano confirmed the Philippines will have joint oil exploration with China. He assured the public it will not violate the Philippine Constitution. Cayetano explained this is not the first time the Philippines had a joint development venture with foreign partners.
Malampaya is an example of how the Philippine Constitution allowed exploration and development of our natural resources, despite the cooperation with some foreign corporations or foreign entities.
Meanwhile, a memorandum of understanding was signed between Secretary Cayetano and Foreign Minister Yi to strengthen bureaucratic cooperation between their respective agencies. Sweden Velado for The Nation.
An absolutely terrorist-free city, the complete absence of booby-trapped homes or buildings with IEDs, a disease-free environment, and the clearing of decomposing human corpses all throughout the city. The 4 outstanding conditions upon which any evacuee or displaced resident will be allowed back into the city. Unless these conditions are completely met or satisfied, all evacuees or displaced residents will have to wait it out indefinitely. In this report from PTV correspondent on assignment, Alan Francisco.
Getting inside the city, hindi pa po talaga pwede yun. Hindi strictly, hindi pa safe.
That is the reiteration of Joint Task Force Marawi. According to them, there are 4 reasons why evacuees are not yet allowed to return to Marawi City. First, the government troops still need to ensure that Maute Group is no longer in the city. Second, they are ensuring there will be no more improvised explosive devices in Marawi. Third, search and recovery for the casualties should be finished first. And last, they will ensure first if the city is free from any contagious diseases. Additional reason is the stray bullet. Meanwhile, the task force also reported their data on the death of Maute members, soldiers, policemen, and civilians.
A total of 109 soldiers died from day 1 to day 63. Also, we have recorded 453 enemies killed and 45 civilian deaths perpetrated by the terrorists. Several improvised explosive devices were also recovered.
They also gave updates on Maute leaders.
Sila Hapilon and Omar, lagi nating sinasabi, there is no 100% intelligence or perfect intelligence. Lahat ng ating information, kinukuha natin, we are assessing that.
Trapped civilians inside the city are almost 200 to 300, while there are 80 to 100 civilians being hostage by the said terrorist group, which is already being resolved by the government troops. Together with RJ Guevara, I am Alan Francisco for The Nation, Marawi City.
In delivering his SANA, the chief executive apparently left out the developments in the agricultural sector. But DA Secretary Manny Piñol assures this is no cause for worry, as various projects to boost the farming and fishery industries are currently underway, and more programs are in the offing. Julius Sambaron filed this report.
Part of the Duterte administration's agenda is the development of the country's agriculture sector, contrary to reports that it has not been directly mentioned by the chief executive during his second State of the Nation address. Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol believes that the president has his own style of leadership by entrusting the growth of sectors like agriculture into the hands of the dependable government officials.
He would always say, okay, ikaw na bahala sa detalya. Yan yung Duterte style. In fact, on the ill effects of mining on agriculture, he actually talked about agriculture. When he talked about climate change and the need to prepare for climate change, he actually talked about agriculture.
To increase farmers' income, the current administration aims to establish an outlet network. The government is also focusing on the increase in high-value crops and provide funding for the 5,000-hectare plantation for garlic and onions by next year.
In fact, I have already asked the regional directors of the regions submit to us the proposed location of cold storage facilities.
As part of the agency's contribution to Marawi City's rehabilitation program, the DA will give 500 fishing boats to affected fishermen.
Within 2 weeks, we will be seeding Lake Lana with about 5 million fingerlings of indigenous fish species and non-invasive fish species. We will be doing this in a town na safe naman yung mga tao ko.
Earlier, a 10 million peso budget allotted for Marawi was released for intervention. The agriculture chief, on the other hand, pointed out that the temporary ban for meat imports from Brazil still remains, while investigation is ongoing on the incident where 500 kilos of meat shipment were tested positive of Salmonella, a strain of bacteria which causes food poisoning.
Ang ating pagpapadala ng mga tao sa Brazil is to validate. Kailangan kasi maging conscious tayo sa food safety.
DA added that there is a policy shift in the agency as far as their marketing initiatives are concerned. Meanwhile, Piñol requested additional funding for the construction of farm-to-market roads to cover the 13,000-kilometer backlog. Julius Disamboron for The Nation.
Two of the government's most publicly engaged and proactive departments have joined hands and resources to more formidably address the most pressing concerns in the national agenda: jobs, livelihood, and business opportunities. Toward this end, this dynamic dual team up is hell-bent in tapping into a $20 billion industry to create tens and tens of thousands of decent-paying jobs locally. PTV's Trixie Jafar with the details.
The Department of Labor and Employment with the Department of Trade and Industry held the first Trabajo, Negosyo at Kabuhayan Assembly and the official signing of the joint order for guidelines on garment industry. According to DOLE's Secretary Silvestre Bello III, one of the main objectives of the joint agreement is to eliminate the unemployment problem in the country. He added that it will generate over 70,000 jobs for Filipinos.
It will further improve yung aming objective to lower or even eliminate yung unemployment problem. Hopefully na we can generate 70,000 more jobs.
Meanwhile, DTI Secretary Ramon Lopez reiterated that the joint order not only aims to create more jobs, but ensure decent jobs and protect the welfare of the workers.
This is really important as a show to build confidence on Philippine exporters, no? Dala na rin ang gusto ng ating presidente na pangalagaan yung kapakanan ng mga manggagawa, na pinapakita natin na itinaas natin at pinalakas yung welfare ng labor sector, ng mga manggagawa. In terms of security of tenure, providing decent jobs, no, for them.
Furthermore, Lopez said that the garment industry ranks third in terms of export in the country, which generates over $20 billion. This is only the beginning for joint agreements between DOLE and DTI. They plan to establish more guidelines for other industries in the future to boost trabajo, negosyo, at kabuhayan in the country. Trixie Jafar for The Nation.
Bargain hunting lifted the Philippines' main stocks index today. The Philippine Stock Exchange Index rose 0.11% or 5.34 points to 7,971.72 points. The broader all shares shed 0.11% or 5.34 points to 4,753.33 points. Volume for the day totaled 1.74 billion shares, amounting to 6.2 billion pesos. Losers led gainers at 142 to 65, while 46 shares were unchanged. It is a piece of roadway in the megacity that has earned a dreaded reputation as a speed and death trap. And today's multiple vehicle pileup that left one motorcycle rider dead and at least 14 sedans, SUVs, and trucks smashing into each other, and the northbound traffic backed up into a virtual parking lot is proof yet again of its unsavory distinction. PTV's Ria Fernandez caught up with today's mishap on the C5 highway and has the specifics.
At least 14 vehicles collided with each other along northbound area of Ortigas flyover Tuesday morning. This included motorcycles, trucks, and cars.
This is how destructive the collision here in Ortigas flyover northbound. You can see that the taxi has been really destroyed, and one of the motorcycles that was hit in the collision was stuck under the truck, and now the authorities are pulling it out.
The motorcycle driver who slipped under a truck has been reported dead, while the 4 injured motorists are now in good condition. According to the Traffic Parking Management Office of Pasig LGU, the accident resulted from a truck that lost its brake.
Regarding doon sa driver ng truck, na siyang dahilan kung bakit nagkaroon ng karambola, nawala ng preno. Siya raw ay nag-lose brake at ayon doon sa kwento niya, meron tayong investigasyon sa Traffic Division. Sila ang magbibigay ng final decision. Yung truck ang nasa likuran. Siya yung umararo doon sa mga nasa harapan.
The widow of the motorcyclist plans to sue the truck driver. Possible cases that can be filed against him are reckless imprudence resulting in homicide, multiple physical injuries, and damage to properties. Meanwhile, motorists are reminded about the measures to avoid such incident from happening again.
Check battery, preno, tubig, langis, lahat po para makaiwas sa disgrasya.
This part of the flyover was temporarily closed to immediately tow marked vehicles. Past 1 in the afternoon when it was opened again to traffic. Ria Fernandez for The Nation.
President Rodrigo Duterte has made himself crystal clear. He wants the megacity's busiest stretch of roadway clear of all man-made impediments, physical distractions, and driving hazards. This includes undisciplined drivers and traffic violators. Now the MMDA is in a tizzy, scrambling to pay heed to the president's wishes in this report from Diane Carrera.
In his second State of the Nation address, President Rodrigo Duterte instructed the Metro Manila Development Authority or MMDA to clear the roads from obstructions, which include illegally parked vehicles. MMDA is ready to respond to this directive from the President. MMDA Chairman Danilo Lim says that it will intensify its clearing operations.
He also reminded the barangay captains of their responsibilities to continuously monitor their area once clearing operations are done in the roads within their jurisdiction.
I am confident na makukuha rin natin yung suporta ng ating mga mayors through their barangay captains. And let this serve also as a warning na. Warning na rin ito sa mga barangay captains, sa mga lalong-lalo na yung mga alternate routes, yung mga sinatawag nating mabuhay lanes, na yung mga lugar na yan, mga kalsadang yan, na umpisahan ng maglinis-linis dyan.
The agency is also set to add traffic constables on the road to discipline erring drivers.
Kasalukuyan ba yung recruitment? At pag na-recruit na natin yan, let's say makaipon ka ng 100, talagang ite-train natin, imo-motivate, yung tamang start them right.
Meanwhile, a memorandum of agreement is set to be done between MMDA and DILG to strengthen cooperation among mayors and barangay captains in Metro Manila. This is to engage participation in clearing the roads from any obstruction and for negligent officials to be liable on their irresponsibilities. Diane Querer for The Nation.